Hi everybody and welcome back. I have a Crockpot video for you today, full of recipes for the Crockpot. I found some different ones that were new to me and we enjoyed all of them. We really did. I like to use my Crockpot year round, but there's something so cozy about having your Crockpot going through those cold winter months, which are right around the corner. Fall too. I just love having my Crockpot going and letting it do all the work for me. So I hope you guys get some ideas and inspiration from this video today, and we're just going to jump right on into it. This Crockpot recipe is for barbecue chicken, and you make your own barbecue sauce to pour over the chicken thighs, and it all cooks in the Crockpot. So the ingredients for the sauce: honey, ketchup, soy sauce, sriracha, salt, pepper, minced garlic, fresh ginger, but I don't have it, so I'm using ground, and it called for the juice of a lime. I don't have that. I'm going to use lemon. So these are my sauce ingredients. And those are pretty standard things that you may have that you could pull together without having to add things to your grocery list. I like recipes like that, maybe with the exception of the sriracha, and I normally don't have sriracha, but I do right now. You could use another hot sauce in place of it, I'm sure. So I like it that these ingredients are pretty standard things that I normally have around here. Okay, here's the packet of chicken thighs that I'm using, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I have here about, let's see, a little over 2 pounds. I think the recipe calls for 4 to 6. So first step, to sear these up in a skillet, salt, pepper, and sear them up in a skillet before adding to the Crockpot. I'm searing these up in some bacon grease. James had bacon for breakfast this morning, so that's going to add a whole lot of great flavor to these chicken thighs. You just want to sear these on both sides, not cooking them through, of course, before putting them in the Crockpot. Okay, half cup of soy sauce. I have the reduced sodium. A half a cup of ketchup. A fourth a cup of honey, and this looks just about the amount that I need, so let's go with that. Three cloves of garlic. I'm going to use the garlic. I'm going to just do a tablespoon, I think. Then I need 2 tablespoons of freshly minced ginger. I'm going to cut back on that, and I'm just going to do maybe 1. And then I need 2 tablespoons of sriracha and the juice from 1 lime. 2 tablespoons, 1, 2. And instead of lime, I'm going to go for lemon. And this is a half of a lemon, but it's a really big one. These are the seedless lemons. Oh yeah, very, very juicy, so I think this will be enough. And then we are going to give this a good mix to get everything incorporated. Okay, so let's get about half of this, or maybe a little less, down in the bottom. Little coat. Perfect. And let's add in our chicken. And this package that I had 6. So let's get those in there. Get all of that chicken drippings in there as well. Okay, let me get the other 3. These are coming in right out of the skillet. Nice. Looks fabulous. Okay. And then next up we have this sauce. That will just finish it all off. Let's get this poured on. It looks delicious. It really, really does. It smells good too. Wow, this looks really good. It has a really good smell. Okay, now this will cook in the crock pot 4 to 6 hours on low. I have things to do today and I'm gonna be gone. It's gonna be great to have this ready and waiting on me when I get home. And for today, I'm gonna say what's better than one crock pot recipe? 2. So when I get home today, one of my sides will be done as well. So I'm gonna do these lima beans, baby limas. These are frozen. And then I have some bacon ends, some thick pieces. We just had a pig that my son Gunner raised. He had a pig, we had a pig, and Gunner has the little farm set up at his house. So he raised the pigs and we just had them sent to the butcher, so we have a lot of fresh pork. So this piece, one of these, will go in here to help season up these lima beans. So let's get these going. Okay, so I've got this little crock pot. It's from the Beautiful line at Walmart, and it's a 2-quart, I think. It's perfect for this. So I'm gonna go in with a little of this salt, pepper, garlic blend. Probably about like that. I'm gonna add in this bacon end. It'll be perfect for seasoning. And then I'm just going to fill it up with water and let these cook all day. Okay, looks good. I'm gonna get the lid on. Let me just say that the chicken and the beans were so delicious, but even better than that, it was so nice to come home after a busy day. Look at that little face peeking behind. It was very nice to come home to have the biggest portion of dinner ready. All I did was made a box of rice-a-roni, the rice pilaf, and it was just so nice to have that ready. And let me just say, the flavor on that barbecue sauce was so good. The chicken is so tender like that in the crock pot, and those beans, they were melt in your mouth. This was a really good meal. This next meal here was absolutely a chef's kiss meal. These are called Crockpot Creamy Ranch Pork Chops. They absolutely are delicious. I made a side of mashed potatoes to put the gravy over and some fried corn. Let me show you how I made this. So this could not get any more simpler. You have a can of cream of chicken soup with 1 package of dry ranch seasoning, or the equivalent, which is 3 tablespoons. You want to get those things mixed together, well incorporated, and that goes over your pork chops in your crock pot. It cooks low and slow, and they are fall off the bone when they come out. Might have been my first package of pork chops that I had made from our fresh pork. I didn't even pay attention. There was so much fat around the outside there, or I would have probably trimmed some off, but actually I don't know that I could have because they were frozen, but I have made them since then, and I like to trim those back a little bit. This is our first time having pork come from this butcher, and they just leave a little bit more fat on the edges than what we like. Okay, so a little bit of pepper and a little bit of garlic, parsley rather, going in there, and they just cook low and slow. I'll have the whole recipe down below, but here they are ready. Of course, you see some extra fat in there because of that fat that I did not trim off the pork chops. Okay, look at this little recipe keeper book. I love this. I've had this for so many years, and it's the kind with the pockets. You just tuck your recipes in. So from there, I got out this recipe for fried corn. It's from my dearest friend, Jody. She's just a precious friend to me, and she makes really amazing fried corn. Pretty sure mine tastes not even close to as good as hers, but this was pretty good. I didn't do it exactly like she had on her recipe card there. But in essence, you want to cut some corn fresh off the cob, fry it up in a little bit of bacon grease. You put a little flour in there, salt, pepper, and then you add in just a little bit of milk or cream, something like that, to give it just a little bit of thickness and a creamy texture. butter, of course, and this is just so good. And I honestly, like, hers is just so good. I know she kind of scrapes the cob and gets some of that, quote unquote, the corn milk off of the cob, which you probably know what I'm talking about if you have done anything with fresh corn and taken it off the cob. But this, the milk that I put in there just absorbs up in there after you add that flour, and it just makes this so creamy and delicious. And this was really good sweet corn. This was back in the summer. I've been working on these last few videos for a little while. I wanted to get a crock pot recipe video, a soup video, and a casserole video, which are all just great things to have ready to pull from during this fall and winter season. So this one I filmed a while back while we still had some fresh corn. I did make this as a freezer meal back when our youngest grandson was born. I made a freezer meal with this. It's so easy. Just the pork, the cream of chicken soup, and the ranch goes in your freezer bag, and you freeze it, pull it out, and put it in your crock pot. This delicious meal was just so comforting, so good. I'm ready to make these again. Make sure you look below for the recipe. Look at all the yummy goodness on this plate, you guys. Let me tell you what we had for dinner this night. Okay, we decided to do, this is a chuck roast, or no, is it a chuck roast? A sirloin roast? Oh goodness, I can't remember now that I'm trying to tell you. Anyway, we decided to do this. James wanted to put it on the smoker and get some smoke on it before we put it in the crock pot. And the recipe I'm actually following is for garlic butter steak bites. But instead of doing the bites, so like the chunks of the meat, I am putting that recipe on this roast. So he put it on the smoker for a couple hours. We're putting some butter on the top. I decided I was also going to go in with onion, celery, and carrot. And then the recipe calls, in addition to the butter, it calls for a packet of this beefy mushroom soup mix. You know, those things are so flavorful. And then since these are called garlic butter steak bites, you know there's going to be a fair amount of garlic in there. So I'm getting that in, and then it calls for some Worcestershire sauce and some beef broth. So I have both of those things in here together, pouring those over top, and then just letting the crock pot do the work. And I have to say, we had this for family night this night. I actually have a small couple pieces of skirt steak down there in there as well. I forgot to mention that, but just look at that. I'm telling you, the flavor on that beef was so good. I made up a package of these onion egg spatzel noodles, whatever they're called. I get those at Aldi. Those were delicious. First time to try those, and I will definitely buy those again. James went in and shredded up all the meat. I made a few cans of sweet peas, and several of the family said, these were so good. We haven't had peas in a long time. I had light bread and butter, some cottage cheese, and of course I had to make some mashed potatoes. That meal was over the top good. Give this recipe a try. I think you would really enjoy it. Next up, I am making a crock pot full of ranch chicken taco meat. This one is so easy. I've done a few times the last several weeks or so, a bunch of chicken in my crock pot, shred it, and then divide it up for whatever I needed it for. So for this particular recipe, so easy, so customizable. You just start off with some boneless, skinless chicken breast, and you just shred that up. I took it out of my crock pot, you can see, and I'm just putting back in as I shred it. Got a little bit of that broth in the bottom, not a bunch. You don't want it too watery. I'm adding in 1 can of petite diced tomatoes, and I'm adding in the equivalent to 1 packet of ranch dressing now, and maybe a little more, because we really like that flavoring. If you don't like that, I guess I don't know what to tell you there. I'm also using this Mexi Blast, I think it was called. This is a great seasoning for anything Mexican. So I just went ahead and put that whole thing in there. Didn't have a whole lot left. Went in with some garlic powder, some chili powder, some onion powder, and some cumin. This is a little bit of smoked paprika going in. No, actually this is Spanish paprika going in on the top with that. So you can season with your heart absolutely on something like this. But what I love so much about the ranch seasoning, it just has such a great amount of flavor in just one seasoning pack. It just really gives a good flavor, and I like that. All you do is put this back in your crock pot on low for just a little while to get everything heated through. Put this on crunchy taco shells or soft taco shells. You could also use this to make burritos, enchiladas. So flexible and versatile with that. Very delicious. I took that to our church fellowship meal, so I don't have an end result picture to share with you, but the recipe is below. And the last crock pot meal I have for you today is crock pot chicken and dumplings. So in my crock pot here, I have 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts and some seasonings, some broth. I'll tell you about that in a minute. One of these is what I used for the recipe. The other one I shredded and put into my freezer to use later on down the road. The recipe called for onion, celery, and carrot. That is not something I typically put in chicken and dumplings when I make them, but I did because that's what the recipe called for. It also called for 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and for the large grand sized biscuits, but I only had the small ones. So I used about the equivalent. I got those all chopped up into pieces, put those into the broth, and then added in my 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. Now, the broth was seasoned with pepper. It was seasoned with salt, a little bit of oregano. I did not add the bay leaf that it called for. I did also use the garlic that it did call for. Now, here's my pepper. I went ahead and peppered the top of those dumplings, although I had it in my broth because I love a peppery dumpling. Okay, here it is after it cooks up. I was a little, I liked it. It was delicious. I'll say that. Let me just say, it was delicious. But I wasn't crazy about the whole process. I feel like it was a little thicker than maybe what I wanted, so I did add a little bit more liquid in there. And some of my dumplings I felt like were done a little bit more than others. So all in all, I'm not saying I wouldn't make it again. I just prefer my regular stovetop method for dumplings, making the dough from scratch. But this was good. I'm not going to say it wasn't, because it was. I served it with mashed potatoes, and like I said, we like a lot of pepper on our dumplings. But I wanted to try it in the crock pot. How do you know if you don't try? Let me know if you have ever had crock pot chicken and dumplings, and be sure and look below for all the recipes. Well, thanks again for watching, you guys. I love it when you take time out of your busy schedule to stop by here and visit on my channel a little bit. It means more than you know. If you enjoyed it, would you give it a thumbs up? Maybe you can tell me down in the comments some crock pot recipes that you have been enjoying lately at your house. And so, yeah, I hope you're all doing great. Again, always glad to see you here. So take care, and I will see you next time, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye, everybody.